Hi guys, my name's Ellie, welcome to my channel, and today we're making a look out of this. This is the Pat McGrath Bronze Seduction palette. Oof, that's very respective. I did a look mainly focusing in on Bronze Blaze. I was just kind of like testing it out because I wanted to see what it looked like, which, spoiler, it looks gorgeous. And one of you lovely people had asked for a tutorial on my Instagram, which my Instagram is at Ellie Gremlin. So if you want to see what I'm working on or what looks I've made, and then potentially request that I do a little video on them, yeah, that's my Instagram. I put my daily makeup up there and not much else. But, yeah, so I thought I'd sit down and hang out with you guys. I've been using this palette for 1 week, and I thought I'd kind of do a little spoiler because it's my 1 month one palette, and thought I'd chat with you guys about how it's going, because I still have, 3 weeks left, and I have some initial impressions and some stuff, and I've finally watched some reviews. I hadn't watched really any reviews or anything. The main one I really liked, because I've seen a lot of people like recreating Pat McGrath's tutorials, which I have. Pat McGrath, I understand there's a lot of like artistic choice going into how she does her promotional stuff. I'm just going to go ahead and put a cream shade all over my eye. So we're moving into knocking out this Tartlet palette. So let's go with Supermom, which is just, oh, some kind of hair in my mouth. Don't think I got it. Okay, so let's go back. I was talking about Pat McGrath. For her promotional stuff and her little like tutorial she puts up on Instagram, and I'm guessing other places, she's got a very specific style. It's very, very blown out, and almost like out of focus, so that the lighting makes you really see the glitter. And it was a big pet peeve of mine. I still don't think it's the best. It doesn't really... It does something, but also ruins another thing, in that it allows you to really see how special and sparkly the shadows are, which I've noticed is something that's really hard to catch in camera or film, and I think choosing that style for her promo has been helpful. I'm then going to take a little bit of this satin shade, Venus, from the Urban Decay Naked Basics, and fluff that on my brow bone. Basically, a whole lot of my face. If I could just get this one out. Yeah, so I see what she's doing and how hard it is to really capture the specialness of her glittery, shimmery shadows. But it also means that you don't have a good idea of what it's going to look like because it's so blown out. They have these eye tutorials that are just... I can feel it. There, I think I got it. Oof. These eye tutorials that are interesting in like a stylistic, avant-garde way, because you can't really make out what's happening. There's some stuff happening. She's using some textures that a lot of people wouldn't use in ways they wouldn't use them. And again, she's an artist. She gets to do whatever she wants because art. But at a marketing perspective, it means that you don't really get to see what that would look like, because by blowing it out and overexposing it and focusing so much on the shimmer aspect, you don't really get to see what that model now looks like. And I understand there's a lot of editing going into things, so I'm gonna shut myself up a little bit and start out. First one I want to use is Entrapment, that nice brown one. I'm gonna fluff it in my crease with a fluffy brush. This is what I've been doing basically the first step out of this palette for all of them. It's just... because it's the transition shade. Transition-y crease shade. Yeah, so I understand there's a lot of editing going into everything, and we should be aware of that. But trying to get a good idea of what the thing looks like is hard. Because if you're doing something and making it really... hard to pin down, I guess, is the best for it. It's just kind of hard to get a good idea of what's going on in it. It makes it hard to feel confident spending the money on the palette, because this is not a cheap palette. Luckily, well, I guess yes and no. I've been saying my boyfriend bought this for me, but technically I'm the one that ordered it, and then he gave me a gift card because he didn't realize that he couldn't give me an Amazon gift card for a Pat McGrath palette. So I've been using all the stuff I would have spent my money that I spent on the palette on through the Amazon gift cards, but then I did technically use my money for this, and he, you know, it shipped to my house, not his, and all that stuff. So it both is and isn't a gift. I'm counting it as a gift. I don't think he is anymore. I think he's just saying I gave you gift cards. But I like it if it's from him. I like it in general so far. So yeah, I think that's maybe just like a touch more, because I'm really bad about crease shades. I just kind of build them a ton. But this look I'm trying to recreate was kind of smoky. I was feeling kind of smoky. I wore like a nice black top, and I went to work, and I felt really professional in like a, I don't know, aggressive lady type feel. So yeah, I understand making the tutorials and stuff like that, but then them coming and being posted on brand sites as marketing, that concerns me a little bit, just because it makes it hard to know what you're doing and what you're going to get. I do want to comment on how minimal the kickback on this is. Like, the glitter is going everywhere, but like the powders really don't have nearly as much kickback or kick up as I've had on other palettes, even pretty recently. I'm trying to remember if I used the brown or the purple. I want to use the purple today, so we are using Extreme Aubergine. If it doesn't look right, then that means that I had used Disobedient instead, but it's just to darken up the outer corner and kind of make it a little more deep and smoky. So yeah, these mattes were not what I was expecting to really like, but they've kind of blown me away. They really do pack a punch. They do lay down really well. And I'm used to a lot more fallout by now from using, you know, Anastasia Beverly Hills and stuff like that, where if something is this dark, it's going to be very fallouty. I'm just going to kind of drag the leftover bits through my crease. I did another version of this look earlier this week, and I've started kind of like angling out my eyeshadow, and I really liked it, but that's not what I did on the one that you actually asked me to do a tutorial on. So yeah, so it ends up kind of smoky, kind of nice. Put a little bit more just on the outer corner. Yeah, and we do the other one. So yeah, it's just something where I can understand it's really cool looking, and that's really plays up one part of the palette, which is the beauty of the shimmer shades and how those glittery, shimmery shades kind of feel in person, because they do feel really special. Seeing them and seeing that move in person, so if you can get to a store and like swatch one, I would highly suggest it, because they are really special. And that was kind of the big draw for me. And the mattes have been a nice surprise. I'm also just realizing that I didn't put the brown shade on my lower lash line, so now I have to do a different brush. So we're going back in with Entrapment on the lower lash line with a smaller, fluffy brush. Kind of making sure it blends up into that bit. That'll work. So yeah, I apparently have a lot of issues trying to do my lower lash line and also talk to you. And I don't know if I put anything on my lower lash line that day. I feel like I've been forgetting a lot lately, so I may have forgotten it. So you might just leave it like this, but I'm going to go in with this little flatty brush and take some of that purple just to kind of line down here. And kind of continue that smoky feel. Because I was very much going for like a smoky, I'm a top fancy business lady look as I planned a taco party. That was what I was doing that day. Okay, let me fluff it. So yeah, I've just been so distracted doing my makeup, I haven't been chatting as much. So that's why I am a little less sassy about the way she does her promo photos, but I still wish she would intersperse those with more traditionally lit and filmed swatches or stuff like that. So I'm picking up Bronze Blaze, which is like the chunky gold glitter one, and I'm just gonna pecky peck. Because it's really nice, and it does, there are two shades in here that kind of have a very similar look, and I think this has so far been my main concern. So we're looping back around to, I've seen some videos now, mainly being the one from Kitchnitch, one of the beauty news ladies, who kind of got me more likely to, like, I was curious about Pat McGrath, but the palette and how much you were getting for it still seemed kind of ridiculous until they kind of just, like, ranted and raved about how amazing the glittery shimmer shades were, and I was like, you know what, this is the first one that, like, the color story has really, really seemed like something I was going to use. I like that it didn't have a black, because I just don't use black shadows. I'd much rather use a deep purple that does the same kind of deepening effect without being just black. I feel like black is kind of a boring addition to a palette, and though useful to deepen shades, we have a million of them, and I'd much rather something like a purple that ties into the color story and adds depth while also continuing the color story and feeling purposeful, as opposed to, oh, that's right, they need something dark, let's throw, you know, a black in. And I feel like the purple in this palette at least allows us to tie into the golds as well as the pinky tones. I'm just gonna fluff that out a little bit. I think I went too far over, but it's there now. So this glitter shade I really, really like. I feel like it does a lot of things. It allows you to get that opacity of a shimmer with the fun texture and special, you know, reflectiveness of the glitter. The thing is, it looks like this one and this one, at least to me, it looks like they would be the same shade, or the same formula. So Bronze Blaze as well as Rose Gold 005. And Rose Gold 005 goes gorgeous onto the face, but whereas Bronze Blaze is a little chunkier to me, and it does go on nicely. I haven't had any issues with Bronze Blaze flaking for me, or like moving or anything. It just kind of stuck down. It was great. So I was watching Kat. I want to say it's Kat. I might be very wrong. Kitchnitch. I was watching her do her makeup, and she was talking about how she had so much issues with things showing up and having to use a glitter glue, and things just weren't adhering, and I hadn't used Rose Gold 005 yet. I'm also going to put Astral Luna Gold on my inner corner. That is this really, really reflective, basically glitter topper. I'm going to do that in my inner corner. Just doop, doop, doop. Yeah, this one is gorgeous. This is one of the things where I'm like, yes, make all of the glitter shades, please. And she was having all these issues with them adhering, and I hadn't used Rose Gold 005 yet, so I've been like, what? Bronze Blaze went on so nice for me, and I was like, maybe it's because, like, half the time, it has to do with priming technique and application. If I'm having a different experience with a shade than somebody else, it's not necessarily that, like, oh, there's different shades and different pressing or whatever. It's almost always that I'm using technique A and primer B, and they're using technique C and primer D, or using concealer, stuff that will have an impact on how the shadows play for them. I just want to put more. And I was like, oh, it might just be like that, because she mentioned having an issue with Bronze Blaze. And then, like, the next day, after I was like, hey, you know, I've only done this many looks, I've had this and this happen, and whatever, just kind of being friendly and giving my input and what I'd had so far. And then I tried to use Rose Gold 005, and it went on quite nicely. It wasn't as reflective as the palette, and I'm used to that sometimes. Like, sometimes something just looks one way in the pan and a different on the eye, and that's fine. You just adjust. It looked a little deeper, and then I got to work, and I realized that it had gotten even deeper because it seems to be like a satin shade with a ton of glitter in it, and the glitter doesn't adhere as well as, like, the satin basey shade. So the satin base was there, and it was a little bit more red and burgundy, but the glitter itself had, like, moved up and settled into one line in my crease, and that was all of it. It had all moved, and I was like, what the fuck? So I'm going to have to retry that shade with a glitter glue, but I now understand a little bit more what she might be coming from, so it's not necessarily just a primer issue. Well, it is a primer issue. You need glitter glue if you want it to perform the way it looks in the pan and to stay. Because I didn't have any issues with Bronze Blaze staying or moving or anything. I think this one has a little bit more glitter in it just based on how me picking it up in the pan has changed the texture. Because I've used Bronze Blaze maybe 3 times, and Rose Gold 005 maybe once, and kind of swatched it a couple times. And that one, you can't see. It looks very, very much the same and whatever, whereas Bronze Blaze is starting to show texture and like it's been used. So, that is how I got this look. I'm going to finish up my face, and I'll be back. But yeah, so, just because they look a certain way and swatch a certain way, does not mean they're going to work a certain way on your eyes, so be prepared to have things like that come up. Be prepared to have differences of opinions about the shades, because I already have, not disappointments, just differences. I'll come back. And now we have a finished look. So, I don't know if I use this highlighter, probably not, but blush, bronzer, eyebrows, I don't think I wore a lipstick, but again, very similar. The eye look is generally what I assume people want to see, because the rest of it's just not normally that different. But yeah, so I really like it. I really like these shades. Again, Rose Gold 005 is the one I've had the issue with, but I do think I can probably get what I want out of it with a glitter glue, which is not my favorite thing to say something needs a glitter glue, but I think to get it to do what I want, it does. The other thing I want to touch on so far is Guilty Pleasure. You can see just in comparison, these are a lot more reflective than this one. This one is a lot more subdued. It's not quite, it's not really like a glitter suspended in a matte, but it's a lot more satiny, it's a lot more of a subdued sparkle. And you can really tell in the eyes that it's a lot more of a satin sheen than the other ones. And that initially did make me a little sad when I put it on my eyes and it wasn't as pretty as I was expecting it. Even though I'd swatched it, I knew what it, like, I had kind of seen that it wasn't as bright. But this one, I think I can have a lot of fun with. I think this one's going to be really good for layering. It makes a nice, softer look on its own, but I did, when I got home that day and kind of, like, had settled into it's not as bright as I want it, I played around and I layered Blitz Flame on top, and it made this really nice, like, burgundy metallic type look, which is another way because I'm not 100% sure all the different ways I want to use this yet. I'm not the most confident with strong red colors. I like burgundies, I like pinks, but metallic, strong reds are still a little thing that I'm working with. And the other thing I did was I put Skin Show Divine Glow over top to make it a little bit more impactful, and it really did. So I think this is a versatile shade that I'm going to have to find some ways to really find my favorite, but it's not the worst. But again, that's 2 shades so far, so it is not a perfect, stunning review, and I think it might be good for you guys to prepare yourselves for that at the end of this 1 month 1 palette, because it's not going to be a, oh my god, take all my money Pat McGrath type moment. It's going to be a, here's what I've liked, here's what I've found is not the best, and here's how I've made it work type review. But yeah, just in general, like, these two have gone on and applied lovely. Bronze Blaze has been fantastic. The mattes have been really good, so I'm glad that the mattes are as nice as they are. I was expecting them to be kind of like pretty good, but I was really into the shimmer shades, and that's a little bit where I've come across some things I need to play with. So this will make me a little bit more, well, I already wasn't going to like run out and buy everything Pat McGrath because they're expensive. But it was, upon initial swatch and like first look, because I used this lovely, lovely metallic, like it just reminds me of like the more chunky mustard where they have like the kernels still kind of in there and crunchy. That's what it reminds me of in a very good way. So, but it's very nice, it's very pretty, the mattes blend really well, they're impactful, they don't have a ton of fallout, so it's something that if you get the right set of colors, this is definitely a palette that I could use a lot and have a lot of fun with and really get my money's worth. But I think on my next Pat McGrath purchase might be a swatch in store, kind of touch things and make sure they're the textures that I know I like the best, as opposed to just buying everything slowly to just accumulate like a stash, which I've had that same type of experience with Natasha Denona, where I love my Lila palette. It's gorgeous. The shimmers, in order to make them not crease on me, like they don't crease like a ton, but in order to make them the way I expect them to go for me, I do put a cream shadow down. And I was kind of committed and like, it's like, okay, fine, you know. And I know her formula varies palette to palette, so I was like, okay, it'll be fine. I've got cream shadows, that's not that big of a deal. It's not my favorite thing, like I like when shimmers and metallic shades just go and they just work. But for the color story and the uniqueness of the shades in Lila, for me, it was still worth it. And then I've seen the most recent palettes come out, so like, was it the Safari palette? And the Safari is one of them that I've just not been into. And what was the other one? It's like the beach one. You all know. The one with the mint green, that was the first one testing out the new packaging that she was trying out, I think she did a very similar one for the Safari palette. And like, I was interested in it, and then I saw the reviews, and I saw that she'd done something even different to her traditional shimmer formula, and it didn't look good. And the mattes, though nice, were nothing special. So we might be getting the gold palette. This lady. So we will be testing out to see if maybe she's going to keep certain formulas in certain palette types, and so like those more, the leathery ones, like the little cushion, like the star and the Lila and all that, might stay one formula with the gold fitting into that based on the packaging, and the other ones might go a little otherwise. But what I've seen so far of the gold has been very promising, and we will find out. But getting it and testing it out really allows me to kind of filter the hype a little bit, because Pat McGrath gets so much hype, and so does Natasha Denona, as just these amazing, mind-numbingly good palettes. And so far, they're pretty good. They're really nice. You do really see the artistry and that kind of artistic eye of these shades. These shades work because I do 500, makeup tutorials over this many times. I've seen which colors work the best together. I have a really good idea of it, and it's a little bit more thought out than some other brands when they're doing their stuff. And then you kind of get into it, and there's only, like, they're nice. They are very nice. But you start to see what you can and can't do. Like, there is an upper limit of quality. Like, my makeup's not going to do itself. At some point, there's going to hit a point of, this is the highest quality you can get, and the powders only do so much. And even then, with them being experimental with certain shades and formulas, some stuff's not going to work for everybody, and some stuff might have a lot to do with application style. So if you can find somebody who reviews in a similar style to how you do your makeup, similar preferences, and primes the same way, or doesn't prime. If you don't prime your lids, this is going to look very differently on you, because my primer adds a bit of adherence and a little bit of grip, because my lids are so oily that I need something so they don't just slough off my face. But the way it blends will be very different than somebody who puts down just concealer, somebody who puts down concealer and sets it, somebody who uses Urban Decay Primer Potion, somebody who just puts it over bare skin. There are all sorts of different things that need to be taken into account, and I think that's kind of something I'm learning the more I get into makeup, especially in trying a bunch of different formulas, and that, you know, everybody raves about this, and it might be that all the people who are raving about it are doing their eyes very differently than you. So, different is not bad. But yeah, I think I've gone on a very, very large tangent. I'm just gonna calm down. Hopefully you liked the look. Hopefully you guys are having fun. Let me know if you have some tips, some things you want to try out, if you have some ideas, if you've had similar issues with Rose Gold 05 and you found a way to do something besides glitter glue, or if you've just found something that was the trigger that made it do the thing for you, or what you're doing with it, because I would like to know, because I would like to be able to use all parts of this palette and really love and enjoy all of it, because it's very expensive. So if I don't like one part out of 10, that's $12-13 gone, because it's $129, $130 palette. And I have the light. Maybe you can see the glitter now. Oh, we're just gonna. So, hopefully this was helpful. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you next time.